Good morning, dear friends. A heartfelt welcome to you all. Happy to meet again. After the last two sessions that illustrated inspiring ISSE-SE educational initiatives, we're very happy to have the privilege to welcome today our dear Esther Puentes, Esther Cristina Puentes, who will guide us through a beautiful presentation, a meaningful presentation on the topic of selfless service. We already know Esther Chris from previous inspiring presentations along this course. So let us just recall that she was born and grew up in Colombia. In recent years, Esther Chris has been living in both Switzerland and Colombia, where she has been teaching the human values in different programs alongside her successful career. We should certainly all enjoy this very inspiring presentation. So dear Esther Chris, welcome to you, good morning. And please go ahead, happy to see you here with us.
Thank you, dear Brigitte. Good morning. Thank you for your kind introduction. And good morning, dear participants. In the previous sessions, we listened to the magnificent presentations on the use of human values in scenarios as diverse as in Haiti, as Katinka shared with us following a natural disaster that opened up the possibility of working with the affected communities. In Madrid, as presented by Elena, with the creation of extracurricular spaces for children, or in Italy, by offering a teacher training program recognized by the country's government, as Fabiana also shared with us. There is a common thread running through all these interventions. They are projects based on selfless service, built with professionalism and care. But not only that, those are projects that point the way from I to we to one, which Suzanne spoke about in the intervention that preceded these three presentations. So let's see what selfless service is all about and why it is the best way to travel the path from I to we to one. When someone sitting near you is sunk in sorrow, can you be happy? No. A baby nearby might be weeping pathetically and your eyes are full of tears in sympathy. Why? There is an unseen bond between the two. And not only between the two, but this bond is with everybody and with everything. Man alone has this quality of sympathy. He alone can be happy when others are happy, and miserable when others are miserable. Man alone is capable of selfless service. That is his special glory and unique skill. ISSE-SE, the creator of the ISSE education in human values, gave us excellent examples of selfless service. So let us be inspired by exemplary services. He said, do not remain indifferent to the needs, the physical pain or illness of others. Pictured here are the Puttaparthi and Whitefield super specialty hospitals which comply with these fundamental principles. Medicine for all. Medical aid should be the right of every individual, regardless of caste, creed, nationality, or color. Medicine free from the stigma of commercialization. It means that the act of healing should be restored to its pristine sanctity, which can be done only when it ceases to be a commodity bought and sold in the market. Human values in medical care. The human agents of the delivery system of healthcare be they health administrators, doctors, nurses, or technicians, should be perfectly human in thought, word, and deed. It means that they have to practice the 5 human values: truth, righteousness, peace, love, and nonviolence in every act of theirs. And fourth, spiritual well-being is as a medical concept, because present-day medicine stops at laying down health practices and policies to provide physical, mental, and psychological health of the individual. It makes little or no attempt at strengthening the spirit of a person, the divine force in them that energizes their physical, mental, and psychological systems. Modern medicine has lost its inherent and intrinsic proximity of spirituality. Until that element is restored, medicine or healthcare would never be holistic. Satyasai's behavior in leading these projects points the way in which we should do service. Primary, secondary, and tertiary health care were organized to serve all, and Satyasai talked directly with the doctors, nurses, and other helpers and visited the sick himself. So he teaches us how to lead a project like this by example, by being an example of a good behavior. He also reminds us to not remain indifferent to the huge challenges that others face daily. He was aware of the huge difficulties that the villagers of many little towns in India were facing to find water for their daily needs. So, he led the construction of the world's largest civic engineering project, conducted without government intervention, to provide water to 750 villages, benefiting 900,000 people. All the resources required came from donations from different parts of the world. He also emphasizes to not remain indifferent to the pain caused by an agitated and anxious mind. Knowing that an agitated and anxious mind needs to be educated, he personally guided and directed exemplary education projects focusing on the following pillars: education for all, regardless of gender, caste, creed, nationality, or color. Everybody has the right to be educated in a higher level. Education free from the stigma of commercialization. Everybody must be educated, even if they don't have the resources for that. Education must be free. Human values are the heart of education. All the teachers and every person that works inside the institutions must be also perfect human. It means practicing the human values. And spirituality is integrated in the curriculums. He also sympathized with the hunger that many experiences every day and provided food for thousands of people. He told us, selfless service must take the form of food for the hungry. As we can see, a basic guideline for selfless service is not to remain indifferent. When we can do something to help others, we must do that. You may think that if you don't do projects of this magnitude, it is not worthwhile. However, this is not the case. A service done from the heart, even if it is small, it is of great value. This is what Swami says in this quotation. You may not get a chance to partake in some gigantic scene, a service through which millions may be benefited. You can lift the lame lamb over a stile or lead a blind child across a busy road. That too is an act of worship. On one occasion, a couple of young people were laughing at a calf trapped in a quagmire that every time it tried to stand up, it slipped and fell down again. The more the animal tried to get out of it without success, the more the young people laughed at. Suddenly, a man arrived and went into the mud hole and lifted the calf out of it. The boys asked him, "Why did you do this? It was so funny." And the man answered, "I couldn't bear the pain of the calf." So selfless service is a matter of compassion, a yearning to alleviate the pain of others and the pain we feel by seeing them suffering. Selfless service is more fruitful than praying with rosaries, meditating, or acquiring knowledge, usually recommended for spiritual aspirants. For selfless service serves two purposes: extinction of the ego and the attainment of bliss. You remember when we saw that beautiful symbol in the presentation made by Suzanne? Attainment of bliss is achieving this path from I to we to one. And perhaps this is what the Prophet Muhammad was thinking when he said, "My state is such that if someone is suffering while I am observing the obligatory prayer and hear the pain, I fervently wish to break the prayer to try to help that person and shower them with as much love as possible." So, inspired by those wonderful services undertaken by Sri Satya Sai, millions of people in the world have engaged themselves in health services, educational services, in feeding the hungry, and taking care of the environment in their own countries. Thus, day by day, they make the quotation, "Hands that serve are holier than lips that pray," come true. Likewise, Jesus extolled selfless service by saying, "I am among you as one who serves." But if we go deeply in this quotation, in other words, it means he who serves is a manifestation of the divine. So, what is selfless service for Satya Sai education in human values? It is the sacred act that comes from a pure heart, directed towards the removal of physical distress, the alleviation of mental agony, and the fulfillment of spiritual yearning. Those three aspects are very important. However, beyond them, it is an attitude that we must maintain 24 hours a day. How should we regard selfless service? It is the purpose for which man is given life. So, if you remember, we told that this is our special glory, our unique skill. And now, Satya Sai said, it is the purpose of a human life. A human life without service is a waste life. Which are the characteristics of selfless service? First of all, do not desire the fruit of your service. Do not even want to be thanked for it. Then, it is the inner joy, the love you radiate that is important. Third, we must be connected with the others when we do service. So feeling the agony at the sight of pain and suffering is the best in that case. Serve in order to heal the agony of your heart when you see others suffering. And as much as possible, relieve the pain and console the grief-stricken. When we look at these characteristics, we are actually focusing on ones that are paramount: the deep connection we establish with others, the compassion that arises in our hearts, and the intense longing to alleviate their pain. So now we can connect to this correct attitude. Did you remember that selfless service is a 24-hour attitude? So in selfless service, mere sentiment and sympathy are of no use. They must be regulated by intelligence. In November 1985, the volcano Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia erupted. 25,000 people were buried in the mud and their villages completely disappeared. The few survivors were hungry, cold, and very frightened by the devastating force of the volcano. The government wanted to help, and one of the first demonstrations was a truck full of dolls and games for children. The inhabitants felt so indignant that they did not want to receive them because they could not supply at all their real needs at that time. They needed blankets to keep warm. They needed food and water. They needed to feel protected as they were scared to death by the dreadful situation. So here are some key issues that get started. Ask ourselves, what is really needed? And how willing the person is to receive the service. On the other hand, we have to stop the criticism, because once they arise, we cannot love. And without love, we cannot serve. So close your eyes to the faults of theirs, but keep them open to discover your own. Okay, so some years ago, this quotation of treat the distressed, the diseased, the old, the helpless, and the child with great respect. I had the opportunity to go through an experience that was very transforming for me. I was in Quito, the capital of Ecuador. I joined a group to deliver food on Thursdays in the private area in the center of the old city. It was 10 p.m., raining very hard. However, dozens of people came to queue up in the carts in which we brought rice with lentils, with bananas, milk, and bread. There were old people, children, pregnant women, all in a very bad state, sick, covered in dirty rags. Their hair was tangled and dirty too. They were cold and hungry. I don't like dirt or bad smell. However, it was what was most present at the time. Fortunately, the love I felt when delivering each portion of food to those who arrived was stronger. I just wanted them to feel happy and welcome. Suddenly, one of the beggars came up to me and looking into my eyes, he said, "Can I hug you, sister?" I had a cup of milk in one hand and a loaf of bread in the other. But at such a request, I immediately put them aside and held out my arms to him, saying, "Of course, brother." He came closer, and we had a long hug, a hug in which I felt his need to be loved and the joy of being accepted without a qualm or criticism. There was just a deep understanding of his need. He, more than a cup of milk or a loaf of bread, needed to feel welcomed. It is one of the most beautiful hugs I had ever given or received. In my mind, if my mind had been distracted by my discomfort with the smells, the bugs he might have, or anything else, I would not have been able to hug him as it happened. And this connects us to the next slide. Let no one suffer the slightest pain as a result of your thoughts, words, or deed. Or, as Mother Teresa said, have constructive thoughts, consoling words, compassionate acts. So, to close this part of the correct attitude, to serve another, we have just to remember to serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. But when thinking about neighbors, not only neighbors are our beloved ones, because as we see here, we have to serve all and love all. So we can include people, plants, animals, everyone and everything. Loving all and serving all includes not only our beloved ones. And I remember an experience I had in Prashanti, Nilayam, in the Puttaparthi ashram some years ago. I was in a conference hall and the organizer of the event asked us to arrange the chairs in small circles. Immediately, several people started to move the chairs from one side to the other, and there was a tremendous noise as the chairs were lifted and placed, even dragged. The person who had asked for the favor of moving the chairs took the microphone and said to us in a low tone and with a smile, "Please, now take the chairs with love. Form the groups carefully and without making any noise, so the chairs will receive a better treatment." The change was noticeable. Everyone started to move carefully and to lift and put the chairs gently. This made me reflect that doing a service is also an act that can be done with great gentleness, even towards inanimate objects. When we provide a selfless service, it is very important to think of others first and then ourselves. The Old Testament advises all farmers, "Now, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to the very corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest, nor shall you glean your vineyard, nor shall you gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the needy and the stranger." Isn't that beautiful? Now, let's see why it is important to provide selfless service and how it benefits us. The real value of selfless service, its most visible result, is that it reforms you, it reshapes you. Every experience you have when you serve is a transformation of your heart. Maybe this is why it is the purpose of human life. So let's see another whys, some other whys. First of all, it cleanses the mind and sharpens concentration. If man becomes distant from society, he will be distant from everything. This birth has been undertaken by you for this very mission, crucifying the ego on the cross of compassion. And he who dedicates his time, skill, and strength to service can never meet defeat, distress, or disappointment. So there are beautiful reasons for doing service. Service is the best spiritual discipline for eliminating the negative pull of the mind toward desires. And this has to do with this identification with I. We have already seen why it benefits us to serve. Now let's see when it is correct to serve. I was descending a ramp at Lausanne train station. A man in a wheelchair was going up the same ramp, and I noticed how difficult it was for him to move forward. And I thought, I might help him, but I don't want him to feel humiliated. I saw a monk quickly coming down the ramp, and I left relieved because I thought he would help him. But he passed playing with his japamala like this. He was distracted without looking at the man in the wheelchair. I said to myself, oh my God, that monk didn't notice the man's difficulty. And I say myself again, maybe I must help him now. But the woman who came running up saw the man and grabbed his chair from behind without asking any question and pushed him to the top. Leaving him there, she looked at him, said goodbye, and ran on to catch her train. I was shocked at what I saw, thinking, oh God, I just missed an opportunity to serve. Sometimes we don't have to ask ourselves, do I have to do that? Do I have to do this? Because if someone is needing help, we just have to run and give the help the person is needing. So when service at the time when it is most needed is the most beneficial. And I will tell you the story of one of my sisters in Washington. You may have seen and heard a bird crashing against the window and possibly felt the anguish of seeing it in shock. Here in this image, you can see the bird. She picked it up, though it had died, but noticed it was alive and held it close to her chest until it recovered. This is a cardinal. The cardinal bird, when frightened or sick, lowers its crest, as we can see in the next image. Here he is beginning to rise her crest. When he is better, he is recovering, and the beak is closed. He is not hyperventilating anymore. When it was about to leave, as we can see in the next image, it stopped for a moment to look at her. Everyone can imagine what that bird was thinking or feeling at that time. So now we have to think about how we can prepare ourselves to serve, to help as much as we can, as efficiently as we can, as silently as we can, as lovingly as we can, leaving the rest to God, who gave us the chance to serve. And now, the first thing we have to do is to watch our inner enemies of desire, anger, greed, egoism, jealousy, or ignorance. When one of those enemies appear, we cannot do or give a good service. So we have to connect with our inner beauty. And connect with our inner beauty means, first of all, be connected with those jewels that reside inside of ourselves. And this program of human values reminds us how important it is to be coherent with the 3H guidelines: heart, head, and hands alienated, using as the rails of a train the 5 Ds of dedication, devotion, discipline, discrimination, and determination in every act of ours when we serve, to fully use our 5 human values of truth, right conduct, peace, love, and nonviolence. This is the way of transforming those inner enemies in our friends, our inner beauty that really made us be fully and perfectly human beings. In that way, we can be bright lamps to light the path of others. So in order to prepare ourselves, we have to keep our spiritual practice alive. Inner cleanliness, inner health, inner illumination are essential to carry out self-service at our best. To prepare ourselves means that we have to have a smile always. Your smile will be a lighted candle in their kindness, in their darkness. Sometimes it's enough to smile. It can help others a lot. And we can ask ourselves, what is the most important service project in our lives? It is to realize and manifest who we really are. Remember that symbol of the one that Suzanne shared with us? This is the path to realize and manifest who we really are. We prepare ourselves because when we become aware of our true nature, we can manifest it. This is how we transform ourselves and others too. And Satyasai said that we have to serve until the moment we die. He said, you do selfless service until your dying moment. And this is very strong because it means that we have to be very aware of every instant of our life. Sometimes we have programmed services to do to the society, but sometimes we don't have that, but life presents us many opportunities to serve in any moment. We can and we must be attentive to every moment when the opportunity to serve presents itself, and to do so without hesitation. A couple of years ago, I was driving my car in Bogota when I stopped at a red light. I have not in my mind the idea of making any service at that time. There was a young man in a very bad state. He appeared to have consumed drugs or alcohol. His eyes were red and he was raising a brick in his hand and shouting threatening words to me. He said he was going to break my glass if I didn't give him what he wanted. I stared at him. I don't know why. I was not afraid at all. I don't know why. And I lowered the glass of my car as I asked him, "What's your name?" He answered, "Carlos." I said, "Carlos, why are you so angry?" And he said, "I'm hungry." And I said, oh, I got it. I turned inside the car and got a packet of biscuits and gave them to him. He was very surprised. He looked at the packet of biscuits in my hand, threw the brick on the side and took the biscuits very quickly. I looked at him and smiled as the traffic light changed. When I started up, he looked at me and his gaze was sweet and transparent. Not a trace of those menacing red eyes. I saw in them the look of my master. It was a transforming moment for me. I connected with him out of love, not fear. And in doing so, his anger and his intention to harm faded. This experience allowed me to fully savor the path from I, connected from love, to we, understanding what he was needing. And as our gazes met, we were one. There was no one who served, no one who received the service, no act of service. All flowed in a subtle instant of connection from self to self. This was transforming. I was through the path of one, from I to we to one. By serving, you turn on a light. You turn on a light on in your life, and you turn it on in the lives of others. And I will share with you a beautiful song about this in Spanish, but this is the translation, first of all. Turn on a light and let it shine the light of love. Let it shine in every place. You cannot stop it. You cannot silence it. In such a need, turn on a light in the darkness. And this is the song. Enciende una luz y déjala brillar, la luz del amor que brilla en todo lugar. No la puedes detener, no la puedes callar ante tal necesidad. Enciende una luz en la oscuridad. And this is my invitation to you, to be like bright lamps, to light on the light in your hearts and in the hearts of everyone through service. That is the best way to go through the path from I to we to one.
Dear Esther, thank you very much for this amazing, outstanding and inspiring presentation that revealed to us the importance and the sacredness of selfless service in the best of ways. Thank you also for sharing these very touching examples, personal examples of yours that will stay in our memories. And thank you for the evocative beauty of the slides that also bring a smile, which, as you said, can be also a service to start with a smile. So now I'll invite participants to please write your questions on the chat so that you may answer them, dear Esther. Let's see if there are the questions in the chat or comments. Not yet, we'll see. And in the meanwhile, I think it's so important because you included in your presentation all the aspects of selfless service. from the practical to intellectual and rational, and to the spiritual, how it can transform us, transform others, of course. And the importance of knowing that it's not only huge projects of service that are of value, but that even a smile can be so important. Or what you did with these people there, the Carlos in the car, then transforming a person through a few seconds, thanks to your attitude, and the attitude as the basis of what is important. Also of the light that we light in ourselves and in others, and how selfless service can help us transform ourselves, first of all, which is exactly what Satyasai has been teaching. So thanks to our self-transformation, we can help others also receive what they need in the right way at the right moments. So thank you for all those. Would anyone like to write a question in the chat? I think it is so clear, actually, what you presented on all aspects that I think we are speechless. All of us will wait a few more minutes. Do you have any other thoughts that come to you, dear Esther, Chris, after having made these brilliant syntheses? Maybe you have other thoughts that come, or maybe things that you thought of putting in the presentations, but you thought maybe it's too long. Oh, here is a question from Elena. Oh, two questions. Okay. What do you suggest to overcome the first moment when we feel we are not able to help the other?
This is a very beautiful question, because I have felt many times something like that. For example, when I was in the ramp in the Lausanne train station, it was exactly what happens to me. I felt that I wasn't able to help him, and I had so many questions inside of me. But I think that even that moment changes me a lot, because when I have an experience in Lisboa with a woman that was crossing the street with a very difficult movement, and he was carrying something very, very, very heavy. I was in holidays with one of my daughters, and I looked at her and remember the thing that happened to me in Lausanne. And I asked myself, what would I do now? Maybe I will do totally differently. I said to Natalia, Natu, I have to go and ask her if I can help her. And we went. So I think that the first thing is to break that doubt and go and ask and offer service. That woman was radiant. He smiled and he told us, where are you from? And we said, we are from Colombia. And he said, oh, because here nobody helps me. And I was so sad because of that. Maybe many people believe that they have to do services only when they are preparing huge services or something like that. That's something that like a good act to help someone can be extraordinary. In our homes also, at home with our family, it's amazing how we can help others, but asking them, how can I help you? So for this question, I think that the best thing is to ask the other, what do you need? And they will give us ideas to overcome our doubts.
Wonderful answer. Thank you, dear Esther Chris. And this answers almost the next question from Georgia, who first says, she writes, thank you for your excellent presentation. Service, is it also to our old relatives?
Of course. Maybe I can think about my mother. I can think about her, because I used to be not very good at serving her, because I was trying to do everything for her. This is like antagonic, but If she was getting up, I went to do the bed. If she was taking a coffee, I was watching the cup of coffee immediately. If she was going to her room, I was wondering, can I help you? Can I give you the helper to work? And one day she said, I really prefer the way your sister is helping me. And I was so surprised because my sister never asked her anything. She always is looking at her and letting her doing things. So I wondering, my God, but I think that I'm doing all I can. And all of a sudden I realized this is the mistake. I have to respect her. She felt like more secure and better in her own shape, in her own self, when she's not needed, she's not helped every time. So I said, Mom, please excuse me. I understand now that you need to do your things. And she said, yes, I am able to do things. Don't do everything for me. And I understood that. So yes, we have to love and help our old relatives, but we have to be very aware of what they are really needing, because we can have an attitude of service that is absolutely wrong in some aspects, as I told you.
Thank you, Esther Chris. And now we have a few more comments and questions. Leonore writes to you, thank you, Esther Chris, so sweet. Now, George writes, how can we motivate children to do selfless service as teachers through ISSE-SE lessons or our parents in the family?
I think that at the school, for example, when I saw my daughters going to do services in the community with the teachers at the school. It was very beautiful because they learn how to go with adults to serve outside, not only with family members, but with teachers. That is very important. Those are members of the community, of the most important community when we are young. So this is one part. We can go with them out and go to serve people. For example, one of the services they made was to go and sing to old persons in their houses. And they were so happy to receive the kids. It was very beautiful. And with my grandchildren, I organized, for example, in December, when we are going to give presents to everybody, I said to them, we have to give presents first to other persons that need much more than us. So we are going to prepare something very beautiful for them. And we prepared together sandwiches and put them in very beautiful bags. And then we go to the streets. They are full of kids and people that really needs to eat in Bogota. So we went in the car, and they are in charge of telling me where to stop. And she stopped, here, meme, here, meme. And we stopped, and they opened the window and said, I have a present for you. I love you. And they sent, and then they gave the present to the kids. And then they asked me, but why are they in the street? And I said, dear, because they have no money, and their parents and they are in the street. So they really need to be taking care of them. So that's what we are doing now. So they learn, and the next Christmas, Benjamin, my grandchildren told me, when are we going to prepare the gifts for the people in the street, for the kids? So we prepared that. And I said, they are not just people in the street. They are your sisters and your brothers. They are living differently, but they are your sisters and your brothers, and they deserve respect and love from us. So that's what I do.
Wonderful examples, Esther. It's really wonderful. There are two more for now comments. Elena writes, thank you so much, dear Esther Chris, very helpful. And Jordi writes, thank you so much, dear Esther Chris, for the inspiring examples and the sweet song you sang in Spanish. My question is, do you provide the people you help with a way to return it to you in some way so that they don't feel humbled by your repeated service, if that's the case?
I don't know if I understand the question.
It is, do you give people that you help a way to return in some way, to return that service, you know, so that they do not feel, I mean, instead of humble, maybe humiliated by your repeated service. You know, if people receive service repeatedly, so that they don't feel, to keep their honor, kind of, or to give them an opportunity to give something back. Do you have opportunities to do that as well?
I think that this is very important, because one thing that can happen when we serve is that we create like a differentiation from one who is giving, another that is receiving, and this is very bad. So, for example, when we prepare the sandwiches for the people in the street, not in Christmas, as I told you just a minute above, but in other occasions, they could also bring things that they want to share with others, with them, with themselves. It was like a party when everybody can take things and give things. And I think it's very good. If not, they will feel like I'm one that is smaller and have to be provided, and I will not be enough to carry with my life as I have to. So I think it's very important to let them to do what they can. If not, at least they can go and give the things to the other persons that are with them in the service. They can help to distribute the things we have, or things like that. What they can do.
Yes, excellent examples. Thank you. And now we have two more comments. Kajal wrote, thank you, dear Esther Chris, for your loving presentation. George writes, thank you very much, dear Esther Chris, for your inspiring and powerful example with your grandchildren. Indeed, very inspiring and very powerful to do that. So if there are no more questions, we thank you very much again, dear Esther Chris. Oh, the Avilo is writing. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear Esther Chris, for your wonderful and inspiring presentation and for sharing with us your personal experiences. Right, indeed, very inspiring, and these are the thing that stays in our memories, sometimes even longer than the theory, right? So thank you very, very much again for all what you shared on the rational plane, spiritual plane, on the practical plane, and your personal examples as well. Thank you very, very much, dear Esther Chris. And we can now have a 10 minutes break. We'll have a 10 minutes break, and then we'll come back for the second part of this session. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes.
Brigitte.
Welcome back to you all. We are happy to welcome now our dear Varsha Chenani, who will lead us with her usual expertise through a meditation on the light. As we already know her qualifications from past sessions, we just mentioned that since her training in the Institute of Satyasai Education of Thailand, Varsha has been using the very important technique of meditation in all her classes and workshops with both adults and children. She feels this is one of the main reasons for her students' success in their learning. Varsha herself believes that meditation on the light is food for her soul and helps her. it gives her strength to face her life challenges in the right spirit. Hello, dear Varsha. Welcome to you. And we are ready to have you please guide us through this beautiful journey of life. Whenever you are ready, we are ready to flow with you through this meditation on the light. We'll also have a nice picture of the flame, and we'll be listening to Varsha's guidance through this meditation. Dear Varsha.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. Good morning to you. What a lovely, warm welcome you've given to me. And hello, dear friends. For me, it is a real pleasure to be back again to do the guided meditation and to connect with the light. So let us start. I will just ask for a moment more to prepare my computer. Okay, so let's sit comfortably with our heads, neck, shoulders relaxed, our chin parallel to the floor, and our hands can lie gently on our laps. Let's breathe deep and gently and take in a few breaths. Let's take in a breath and exhale, releasing all the stress and tiredness in our body. Let's take in another breath to release any emotional difficulties we may be dealing with. And now one more to let go of all the fears. Let's fix our vision for a moment on the flame in front of us, with our eyes half closed. And let's gently close the eyes and imagine, visualize the flame within our spiritual heart. And like a lotus bud, when it feels the warmth of the sun, our spiritual heart opens one petal after another, revealing an even stronger and brighter light within. This radiant light is pure energy, and it helps us in every situation in life. Let us very slowly expand the light to all the parts of the body, to the shoulders, arms, hands. Feel the warmth of the light in the hands, and silently affirm, may these hands always help, never hurt. And now very slowly, from the spiritual heart, take the light down to the feet, and the feet are filled with the light. Feel the warmth of the positive, pure light in the feet. And let's once more affirm silently, may these feet be guided to noble places. And now let's take the light radiated from our spiritual heart, reaching the mouth, and the mouth is filled with the light of energy. And once more silently affirm that we may always speak the truth and always speak lovingly with everyone. Let's now radiate the light to the ears, and the ears are filled with the light of energy. And we silently affirm that we may listen with tolerance and patience. Let's now radiate the light to the eyes, and the eyes are filled with the light of energy. And we silently affirm that we may always see the good in everyone. Finally, radiate the light to the mind, and the thoughts are eliminated. And we silently affirm, darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. Observe the body. Each and every cell in our body is illuminated. We are bathed in the warm, radiant light. We are glowing. Feel this radiance throughout the body. Let's now radiate the light outwards. Radiate it in wider and wider circles, embracing the family members, friends, colleagues, neighbors, the ill, the elderly, the needy, and even to those with whom we have difficult relationships. The circle of light radiates and becomes more intense as we embrace more and more people. Light envelops the whole city, the whole country, the whole world. It enfolds all the living beings and non-living. The plants, the forests, the animals, the mountains, oceans, the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, whole universe. It stretches out into infinity. In the silence, immersed in the light, let's remind ourselves silently, I am in the light. The light is in me. I am the light. Light permeates everyone and everything. As the light becomes more intense, everything else just fades away. There is only one light. Let's focus on our breath. Listen to the sound of the breath in silence within. And let's enjoy this state of being for 1 minute.
Thank you, dear Varsha, for helping us reconnect to the light and peace that are in us, around us, and in the whole universe, for reminding us how important it is, and for teaching us this time how to practice this beautiful and very useful meditation on the light. Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And now we'll have the joy to be with Esther Chris again, as she will inspire us to reflect on questions that will help us reflect deeper on the topic of selfless service. And the questions will be in the chat, and we'll have 20 minutes into the break-up rooms. Dear Esther Chris, please.
Thank you, dear Brigitte. Well, here we have the questions in the chat, and the first one is, how can we help children manifest their inner beauty through selfless service? And the second one, how does our own practice of human values become a permanent attitude of selfless service? So I wish you enjoyed this beautiful workshop and see you in some minutes.
Thank you all for all these important insights and for your active participation. It is very nice to listen to all your conclusions. And now we'll invite Esther Chris again to share her concluding remarks as we are approaching the end of this session. And for this, because we want to have Esther Chris, in the final recording, we are all requested to please kindly shut down our cameras and of course our microphones, so then when we share the recording later, we are respecting everybody's privacy as always. So please kindly let us shut down our cameras. I also shut my camera. Everybody has shut down. Excellent. So now, dear Esther Chris, you are most welcome to give us your final insights and conclusions for this very inspiring session.
Thank you, dear Brigitte. And thank you, everybody, for those beautiful contributions on the about the two questions we shared in the chat. It's amazing to hear so deep reflections. I'm very grateful. I just have to say that let us remember that selfless service is our special glory and our unique ability, and that we just need to activate our willingness to connect with others and everything in the universe, be it animals, plants, even inanimate objects, with compassion and longing to alleviate the suffering of those that are suffering. We can ask ourselves, am I connecting adequately with others, or am I trying to give what I believe the others needs? Am I being as kind as I can in my verbal language and in the words I use? Or maybe can I correct anything to be a better instrument of service? I think that by questioning in that way ourselves, we can achieve a better way of serving others and be useful in the world. Swami says that our dear Satya Sai Baba says that selfless service is the manifestation of the values that he teaches us. So if we practice those human values, we are sure that we are being good instruments to serve. So that's the first thing. I think that it is all I have to recall. I think that service has transformed my life, and I wish that this transformation continue, not only for me, but for everybody. So I wish you a good transformation in this path from I to we to one through selfless service. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much again, dear Esther Chris, also for this very good conclusion and summary. You really inspired us to practice selfless service with the right attitude, and everyone can choose again in which field they wish to do it. Dear Varsha, thank you very much again to you also for contributing the wonderful meditation on the light, which we can indeed and should practice every day, as George just put it very rightly. And we are now coming to the end of this session 15, which is the before last session, as we know. We shall meet in 2 weeks on June the 10th for our 16th and final session of this online course 1, module 3, in which we'll present first a summary of module 3, a conclusion of course 1, and we'll talk about what is next. So we'll meet all in 2 weeks, but before we say goodbye, we'll have a wonderful song, a song that is also illustrating selfless service, and it is a song that can be practiced also with children, as we are always looking for, practical tools with children. So just let's listen to the words first. I'll read out the words, and then we listen to the beautiful sound with the wonderful music. You see, take a lesson, it's Love All, Serve All, of course, the title. And we saw, Esther Chris talked about the sun as an excellent example for selfless service that we can use for children. So the words say, take a lesson from the sun who shines its light on everyone, or the rain that falls on every single shore. No distinction of our race or the color of our face. Nature's gifts are there for all men, rich or poor. So the refrain is, love all, serve all, understand that love and peace is what we need. Love all, serve all, in every single thought, word, and deed. Bear all and do nothing, hear all and say nothing. Give all and take nothing in return. Love is giving and forgiving. Self is getting and forgetting. Serve all in the spirit of pure love. So now we'll enjoy the music of the song. Wishing all a wonderful day. Enjoy the song and then see you in 2 weeks.
Take a lesson from the sun who shines his light on everyone, or the rain that falls on every single shore. No distinction of our race or the color of our face. Nature's gifts are there for all men, rich or poor. Love all, serve all. Understand that love and peace is what we need. Love all, serve all, in every single thought, word and deed. Bear all and do nothing, hear all and say nothing. Give all and take nothing in return. Love is giving and forgiving, self is getting and forgetting. Serve all in the spirit burden.